Hi Joel, this is Rich Gelman. Just am about to send you this frame, and we'll want to go over how to put it on and then some of the challenges that you may come up against in putting on the frame. So now my resident Stefan is going to focus in on the frame and I'll point, okay? So as you see, we only had a sawbones for a left tibia, but the frame would go on and be applied, in a similar fashion. So I'm sending you this model so you can take some pictures of it and you can sort of hold it and get to know it. And then my hope is that you can then take off the fixation into the sawbones. And then I'm just showing you, this is the foot plate. You would take off the foot plate. You want to zoom in or walk in?
Yeah.
So these are called conical washers, and they allow the threaded rods to angle a bit, all right? So what you do, leave it attached on the bottom, and in your mind, if you can remember where they go, that's great, but sometimes these will have to change, excuse me, after you've got all of your foot wires in. In this model, we only have one calcaneal wire and one 4-foot wire, but on your patient, I want you to put in 2 to 3 wires in the calcaneus like we did in the lab, and 2 wires in the metatarsals like we did. Also, before I package this frame, if I can find one, I'll enclose the foot like we talked about. Now, your patient has too little distal tibia to put a wire. So what we want to do, we want to put 1 wire in the talus like we've got here, and then you want to hook up the frame so that you have good spacing for the bone transport. And that may be that this wire in the talus gets hooked directly to the ring, or maybe like a drop wire like we've got here. And what will determine it is, the size of his foot and how this actually fits on his foot. So imagine this is a way, okay? You have distance that you can change here by changing these threaded rods, these 3 threaded rods that connect the foot plate to the distal tibial ring. But really, in the distal tibial ring, you're just going to have 1 wire in the talus, and I recommend hooking up this wire to this ring. And then the real strength of everything distally comes from the connection onto the foot with 5 wires in the foot, 1 wire in the talus. That's all your distal fixation. Okay. Now, proximally, what we've got is a bone transport frame with 4 long threaded rods. And what's nice about this is we've taken the segment of the tibia out, and I'll leave these nuts loose. And this is how you'll instruct the patient after the osteotomy and after you've waited for about 10 days to start doing the lengthening. Now, I didn't have the clickers, so we put these four-sided nuts, and what you do is you start with the 1 dot facing forward on each one of these, and then you instruct the patient to turn it 1/4 4 times a day. And so imagine this is all tightened down, okay, like that. They loosen the bottom, they just advance this 1/4 of a turn, and then they tighten it. They go around the frame. And what that's doing is I'll do it quickly now. They do it one at a time because they're going very slowly to make the good bone. But just showing you how this works, you see, this whole ring attached to the moving segment on the tibia is just going to move distally, okay? So after you do the you're going to have this frame on, you'll cut the bone and you'll be able to loosen things up to make sure that the bone's cut all the way through, okay? And before you leave the OR, you want to tighten these back so that the osteotomy is being compressed together for about 10 days at least 7 days, but somewhere around 7 to 10 days is the norm. So now I'm just tightening these up. Okay. Now you'll notice when we put this on the sawbones, it may be a little bit high for your patient. You know, I'd recommend putting this first wire just below his growth plate and then build the frame, okay? And it's like the sawbones that we made. Now, these 4 long threaded rods should all remain in place, and you'll just slide this construct with these 3 rings in the foot plate around the leg if you can, okay? And then, like we did in the lab, you'll first put your transverse wire in the proximal tibia just below the growth plate, okay? And that'll set the balance, right? You got to make sure that that frame is then balanced all the way down onto the foot. And then I would recommend putting in the talus wire, okay? And adjusting it so that in the sagittal plane, it's even better than the sawbones model. I think I'm a little bit forward. The spacing is a little tight in the front here. So down here at the ankle, get that centered a little bit better, okay? Remember, you don't need much space in the back. So that's the mechanics of the frame. Now, the way we've built this, we've built it generous so there's plenty of length. So if you find that some of these rods are sticking down too far and hitting the foot, you can just cut them off. And then the other thing that I would change is, remember the angled half pin? Put an angled half pin, instead of just going 2 holes off of here, put an angled half pin down this way, and that'll get better support on the moving fragment. And I've built this so that no fixation is closer than 3 centimeters to the osteotomy, okay? So make sure you stay 3 centimeters away from the osteotomy. Okay, so I know that's a lot of time, but I hope that explains things. And we're going to send this video, and I'm going to get this mailed out by tomorrow. And that'll go up to sign, and hopefully it will reach you within 2 weeks. Okay. Today is Tuesday, June 6th. Take care.